It's a good question. We can look into that after. I think we just went live. Let me double check.
Okay.
Gonna make sure our stream is up because we don't have Balrush with us today. And it looks like we're good. So I'm going to go ahead and start off. We'll also, why don't we look at the screener just so we can get an idea. Welcome everybody who just joined the stream or are watching on replay. I'm here with our founder and CEO, Maksim.
Hey, right. Yep.
Good to see you, my friend. How are you and how have you been enjoying these topsy-turvy markets?
Hi, Brian. Doing good. And looking for the short summary, which is always not as simple. For me, not simple. Waiting, hoping, and expecting lower levels for Bitcoin and Solana. Bitcoin is anyways kind of was struggling. Ethereum and Solana. And some coins which were riding the hype. I think you prepared something like crypto.com.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting use case. So.
Yeah, we put out a nice article about Mantle and OKB yesterday and their ascensions over the last couple of weeks. And now we're looking at crypto.com doing its own impressive run. And we can definitely look at that. In fact, why don't we take a look since I preloaded the chart?
Yeah.
And we can see, if I give it a refresh, make sure it's showing the latest dates. Last 3 months is fine. Yeah, so we got this huge transaction volume spike here, followed by a bit of a retrace, completely normal. You can see a little better with this line here. We'll make it hourly. So yeah, it just peaked way up here above 35 cents, and then it fell down all the way back to just below 27 cents now. Right at that transaction volume spike, not a coincidence. Huge spikes in active addresses, circulation, and network growth. And we were talking a little bit about divergences, Maksim. I've got my opinion as well, but what do you typically look for in terms of like a clear top when you see these big spikes as a price is rising?
Yeah. Excellent question, my friend. I typically start always from 3 sets of metrics. 3 metrics, sorry, not sets. It's active addresses, and because it's a kind of short, at least acceleration part is a short story, I would take maybe active addresses 1 hour. This is where we take rolling window for the last hour. Then I would take definitely social dominance, and you will be surprised, I don't know if you see it or not, how dangerously high it got.
Oh, yeah.
And then of course on a longer time frame I would look network growth and a bit subtle metric relation between active addresses and deposits, which if you do, you will be also surprised. But mostly, let's see social dominance. Yeah.
Let me zoom in here a little more. I'll just go the last couple, about 10, 11 days.
Okay.
And so I'll hide network growth for a moment. If we just look at active addresses and we will zoom price in a bit more, active addresses seem to hit this big peak right here as prices topped. And then we saw one more higher high followed by a big drop and then this big active address spike on the way down. So what would that tell us?
Leave the second or this last spike as a second part of the story.
Sure.
The key part of the story is maybe you can hide social dominance for a moment. Or so it's visible that the last attempt to break higher and then the price went lower came on a lower reading of FSC addresses. It means it was already exhausting market. Yeah. Exhausting market, and I read it as a last spike when some part realize, okay, we need to take profits. Now, if you close or hide for a moment active addresses for now and you enable again social dominance, you will see pretty much the same story. Talks increasing, and then on the last stop, which we've just discussed, where divergence appeared, also talks decreasing. Yeah, so you start asking, if you see this pattern, price keep or pushed higher and then went down, and you see the matrix did not fall up, it means that was an attempt, or those who joined. The last one, it was those who read shortly before, and network activity was active before. It's latecomers, so it's a latecomers push, and it's most of the time retraced after such a rally, retraced quite heavily, which we see now, because the moment you identify there are latecomers, I don't know why, but market always likes to punish latecomers. Yeah, it's maybe the lesson for many people or participants. Greed, too much greed is being punished. So, and this you can identify. Price here is a bit too short, would be difficult. Also, so if you add funding rate, you will see very similar picture. Actually, add funding rate aggregated by asset. Yeah. So you just have. Yeah. You see that it was the people were shorting and they got punished. They got punished. But at the top, the shorting guys are stopped or became not so critical. So the conditions for market to go down fulfilled. You see divergence. There is not extraordinarily or extreme short position because typically it's also get punished. So those who shorting got punished, but it came with less stocks and less market activity. So it kind of set up. And this is the story behind, which I find so fascinating, and of course it happened yesterday, so it's a kind of post event, but for such events like crypto.com, when there is a big announcement, whatever, Trump family, I don't know what they planning to invest, 500 million, 1 billion.
Yeah, a ton. I think it might have even
well,
been
the question
more.
if it really happens. Yeah, it's always a question. It's just talks or real happens. Anyway, this big announcement, they do happen in crypto quite a few times a year. Always, it's as we discussed here, it's 3 or 4 metrics, and you can even leave this chart layout. This is the one you look into it. As long as it's on Ethereum, I think we have an Optimism, Arbitrum, Binance, and now on Solana network, even someone else. But mostly this kind of tokens issued on these main networks. And
yeah, this is fascinating.
don't buy when you see this, you are going into divergence. That's a bet. If before, okay, you can take risk, but just get ready to take profits. Once announcement is out, it's typically not much time left till the top is reached.
It's really fascinating to see the small disbelief here on the 27th, and then the even higher up surge going into the 28th, where
and still get liquidated,
and disbelief just went huge here. So people did not believe that this could be real,
Yeah.
and they were right, but they were too early on
early,
shorting.
Yes.
And it's kind of a self-fulfilling thing, because if they shorted here, this drop probably would not have happened. So the traders themselves are the ones kind of creating this continued higher high right here, because they're shorting so much, and those liquidations are just adding to the fuel of a bigger rally.
Yeah.
Interesting. So this is a classic example, and platform tokens are just taking turns right now, 2xing or 3xing. It's an interesting pattern. It really emanates the whole mantra of prices going the opposite direction of the crowd's expectations, because we're talking all the time about meme coins going through their cycles, top caps like Chainlink and Cardano getting their shine. Ethereum had its huge run last month. Bitcoin and Ethereum both made all-time highs barely this month. And then all of a sudden, here comes platform tokens out of nowhere.
Well, it comes with announcement.
Of course. Yeah.
Actually, if we would look into details, I'm pretty sure there were some wallets who were accumulating before announcement, but we are not an FBI or CIA here, so we don't need to do this. But I'm pretty sure some people knew what is coming, and they offloaded on the tops. This is how it works, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking with the price at about 27 now. We were looking at some of the small versus large wallets here. And if we just go up to, let's say, 10,000 coins or less, and then we'll merge 10,000 or more. And we're going to just hide everything else.
Maybe you need to take a bit longer time frame to see clear a bit in a context or on the distance this pattern.
Sure. So we'll just go the past 3 years. You see this clear bump right here in the early adopters, or I'm sorry, the FOMOers. And the larger crowd was already kind of offloading going back into June. I don't really see a huge amount of accumulation for the 10,000 or more crowd. Maybe back here in May. Let me add the price on as well while we're at it. Okay, so we'll make this a bit of a different color. Okay. So you can see the big run up right here in November 2024. Then they were kind of offloading as CRO was dropping. And then we see this huge accumulation right here. It actually happened probably 3 months before this big, or 2 months before this big spike started. And then in late June, we just saw the price go all the way up, 226% or so. So
I think it will be just a few wallets. It wasn't definitely a public story.
Right.
They kept it, and probably it's not reflected on a mass metric where you check all wallets. But if someone would do smart SQL query, show me the wallets who've been accumulating May till July and who exited in the last 3 days, I guess this SQL query could retrieve very interesting answers.
Yeah, we do have this top transactions table. I'm just pulling it up out of curiosity to see if there's anything here. So we see a top 100 wallet moving to centralized exchanges. That was on August 17th. August 4th, another one moving to centralized exchanges. More. This was actually a centralized exchange, so this is looks like earlier that same day. I don't know if anything happened on August 4th where there was a quick swing trade. Yeah, maybe a little bit. But the big one I see here too. Yeah, so the 23rd, the 19th, the 17th, I'm seeing several addresses moving to centralized exchanges over the past 1 to 2 weeks.
Preparing for announcement.
It seems that way.
Get ready to make money. Yeah.
And these are massive transactions, by the way.
Yeah,
185 million. That's, call it something like 30 to $40 million worth, 40 to $50 million worth.
Yeah.
So these are not small numbers at all. And as usual, folks, this is just an example of how whales control markets. It will always be a whale's playground in crypto. And the smaller the asset, the more likely that is to be the case.
Yeah. True.
So yeah, I definitely recommend checking out Kronos yourself if you've got a trial going or you're a Sandbase Pro user. Also check out the insight that we did in collaboration with Bybit about Mantle and OKB and the rise of platform tokens. You can see just how impressively the prices moved up for these specific assets. And it gives you a lot of information on how to prepare for the next big pumps, whether they're associated with exchanges or platform tokens or even just a random meme coin. There's a lot of information you can absorb there. So with that said, yeah, definitely a down week overall for the markets. Maksim down 8% throughout crypto in terms of market cap. Volume has started to go down a little too, so there's a little bit of a sign of disinterest, down 12.5% in trading volume. Last week when we looked, it was up a little over 30% compared to that all-time high week. So there was a bunch of buy the dip interest going on. Now it's kind of going a little back and forth. We were looking at mentions of buy and bot combined with dip, drop, retrace.
Yeah. How does it look? You promised. You said that you look into it.
Oh yeah. So we do have a big social dominance spike here, and it's the biggest we saw since the other dip that happened earlier this week on the 24th. So there have been 3 phases. This buy the dip did not work out. This buy the dip was pretty close to the bottom. It's a little hard to see with these colors here, but it's there. And then this one so far has not worked out at all, as Bitcoin has actually dropped into the 108K range now.
Just curious, if you remove in your formula this last end, buy a bot, dip and dips, leave it or retrace, and then end Bitcoin, remove this part, will it change a lot? So currently we have 0.4, yeah? Yeah, it's increase. And
When
historically, if we check last 6 months, as we did not have actually big decline. No, we had one kind of smaller decline. Yeah, in April there was one.
Biggest spike in about 4 months or so, yeah.
Okay. And take time aggregation, not 4 hours, but maybe 1 day, because now we're looking into like bigger time frame. Okay.
Pretty large. It's getting up there. So this is including conversations maybe about the S&P also, which is kind of going the same direction. We're on a bit of a down day today. Clearly overall in the markets, people are getting antsy and trying to find some entry spots now that prices have cooled down a bit. It's not a huge cool down, I should say. I mean, if we just go to the correlation with the S&P 500 here, this is a long-term time frame of the last 3 years. But if we just scoot up to, we'll just say since 4 months ago, the S&P 500 just made an all-time high of its own about a week ago. Let me make sure we're looking at the latest data. There we go. Yeah, so the S&P 500 is still way up there. Look at the difference, Maxim, between what Bitcoin did over the past 2 weeks versus the S&P in that same time frame, which is pretty much flat. So there is some separation, a lot more separation than we've seen in a long time in their correlation.
Yes.
And then gold is going nuts. Gold is just, especially just in the last 10 days, it just made a new all-time high.
Really?
So, yeah.
How did I miss it? Wait, I was
up 5% in the last 10 days. Just got up to above 3,500.
Oh, indeed. Just happened recently. Okay, I did not see it. It was
Live.
the last 3 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
Or actually last 6 hours. Okay.
So that tells me there's still some global economic fears and people are hedging for, a fiat collapse or capitalism declines across the world. That seems to be where people's minds are heading right now. It's kind of a fear signal.
Yeah, definitely inflation fear, yeah. Okay.
And for good reason. I mean, the dollar has been struggling throughout Trump's, election or tenure so far. He has made the market go up, which is what I think a lot of people have focused on. But at the same time, the dollar has taken quite a beating, and that has a direct correlation on gold. So yeah, I think the big thing is, if I just hide gold for a moment, get rid of these lines again. If we just look at, since the all-time high day on the 13th, I can get them to be highlighted. Yeah, I mean, right here, starting about 1 week ago, huge difference between what the S&P and Bitcoin are doing. Bitcoin down about 7%, the S&P down only about 0.25%. So we talked about, the correlation being zero between these two sectors, how that's pretty ideal for crypto to break out. And yeah, there's some reason to believe that crypto could play some catch up once the crowd stops getting quite so optimistic about buying the dip, right? Because the true dips, the dip buy opportunities happen once the crowd stops believing there's an opportunity. Also, Maxim, I can't hear your mic. You may have just muted, but for some reason,
I muted for a short period because
Okay.
I was typing answers in our chat room.
No problem at all. I just wanted to make sure you didn't drop off.
It's not even that much, or let's say, what I noticed in the last tariff wars, bottom, it's a replacement when the talk which we have now by the tip is suddenly replaced by discussion of the narrative which supports the bearish case, which makes you believe it will go lower. Yeah, so people might be still thinking of buying the dip, but now they're afraid. So we need this kind of narrative. Some topic which takes 1, 2, 3, and thinking it in a latest case tariff, or it was even like 10 or 12% dominance, which is very strong, and you feel scared of buying. So I wonder what it will be now. Yeah. I hope it will be, because it's a kind of make you more confident to make buy decisions. You're basing it on some data. I don't see any negative narrative yet, unless maybe you saw something, but I didn't see it yet.
No, nothing significant. I mean, looking at just the overall mentions of tariffs, it's pretty much bottomed out now.
Okay.
And nothing's been permanent, to be fair. I mean, there's
this time it will not be tariffs. It's like changing, moving targets. It will be something else, likely. I don't know what. Maybe, I don't know what. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at a few other, crisis types of keywords like Israel or Iran. We could even add in Ukraine or Russia, because there's been some minor talks about, the U.S. trying to get Ukraine to kind of give some things to Russia. Zelensky seems to be standing strong on that. We're not a political channel. I won't go into it, but yeah, not much. They're all kind of declining. You can see the spike about almost 2 weeks ago now, but not much since. So those big terms that have been the biggest market movers over 2025 haven't been doing much. We should also mention the fact that this all-time high was largely attributed to some optimism related to a Fed rate cut. And that still seems to be what a lot of people are hoping. And I mentioned on a video a few days ago with Thinking Crypto that if that rate cut starts to look like it won't happen, we may see a bit of a landslide due to the fact that this pump artificially happened due to that optimism in the first place. So if I just look at Fed, rate, Powell.
Yes, this could be around it. No guarantee, but this seems to be active topic recently.
Yeah,
usually it should be. You see, it was even as a reason for the last temporal top. When
the dead cat bounce.
Okay, now Powell is removed, or will be removed, or resign, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Or Powell is bearish now. It means they will print more money, and it means everything will go up because too much money, too liquidity, and that was precisely the last top, and then after that we just went down.
And there's a strong argument that all of this, like Powell being removed talk, is just market manipulation, and that's all it is, which is sad to think, but it could very well be the truth. That the fact of the matter is Powell was assigned by Trump during his first tenure.
Yes.
And
he pretends it's not me, it was Biden.
Now
wait a second, it was you.
Trump is like, I inherited this guy, and he just won't cut the rates. No, you appointed him, and he seems to be standing strong. And his tenure ends in 2026. I forget what month, but up until then, it's very unlikely he's going anywhere. So any news about the potential of him getting replaced by whoever is going to follow Trump's agenda is usually going to be overstated and just kind of.
So what if,
white
now we're
noise.
just speculating for this, for the same topic, what could be the narrative for the bottom? What if there is some new pieces of data coming out? And by the way, when is the Fed decision?
FOMC September is 16th, 17th.
Okay, still a long way to go. Who knows? Maybe we can decline or range bound till that time. So there is no piece of data, and something which suddenly everyone rationalize or realize Powell is not going away. And yes, he gave a little bit more bearish outlook on the economy, meaning there will be a rate cut, but there will be not many cuts, so there will be not new money. And it will be taken by the crowd or by the market participants as a reason, okay, there are no free liquid money to push it up. Now we are doomed. So that could be as a narrative which can mark, okay, now it's the bottom. I think we can play with this assumption. If even it's just an assumption, of course, but makes sense from what we've been discussing so far.
Yeah, completely agreed. I mean, I don't think this is enough of a dip for people to really be in a panic. Just from a raw percentage standpoint, we see a 10 to 15% dip all the time in Bitcoin. But if it starts getting toward that 25 to 30% mark since the all-time high, especially in a very short period of time, that's going to be a situation where we could easily see sentiment start to go the opposite direction. And we're starting to get back toward neutral now. We were still quite positive. All of these spikes are well above average in terms of bullish commentary. So to me, it seems obvious that there's kind of just a resting point for a lot of crypto traders right now, but they won't be very content if they start to see us get toward 100K or below 100K again. You see what happened the last time we did during the US-Iran-Israel conflict here in late June. We went below 100K, most negative point of the year right here, and then we just skyrocket and hit that all-time high, going up about 23% in 3 weeks or so. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And while we're here, let's look at a couple other top caps as promised, because we were going to look at Ethereum, Solana, XRP. Ethereum's looking pretty low. In fact, even during this climb, there wasn't anything too crazy in terms of sentiment. And to me, that's kind of encouraging. I think a lot of people have kind of been in disbelief of Ethereum's huge ascension. There was one big top right here at the end of July, and then it fell right after. That's exactly how it's supposed to work. And then we got super negative again right here. It took off, and we've been consistently below that average point ever since. So that's a good long-term sign for Ethereum. There's just, even on like a almost 3x ascension, there's not a lot of believers. XRP, on the other hand, there's quite a few.
Too positive.
Yeah. And it's interesting. We put a poll out. I can find it really quick. XRP's right here. So we said, what current top 20 market caps will have the best price performance throughout the rest of 2025? 38.6% said XRP. So
that looks dangerous. That looks dangerous.
I don't know if that's a reflection of just a very strong XRP contingency on X, but that's a huge amount compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then 15% were others like Polkadot. I see Hedera, Solana, Link, Cardano. I was expecting someone to still mention like a top, the 337th largest, but people kind of followed directions this time around. Render and Fetch are a little outside, but that's okay. You get the idea. It seems to be very XRP heavy, and I'm not quite sure what's causing that, but this optimism is concerning. You don't want to see these big spikes of bullishness, especially when it's not even really related to prices going too far up.
True. You don't want to see it.
Very interesting.
Mhm.
And then Solana, huge optimism right
Yeah,
now.
I think recently got quite a positive sentiment. They released this phone, and people make jokes saying, "Ha, Ethereum. Now you saw this. There is real Solana." Yeah, it looks positive.
Yeah, and we said on a video a week and a half ago or so when we were here, I said, wait for 200 to get crossed again, because if we go above 200, you're suddenly going to see a ton of really bullish sentiment again, and that's exactly what happened. Even right here, you know, like there was this green spike right here yesterday. That was the third highest we've seen in the last 3 months, and that was right as we were topping and then fell back down. And now people seem to be interested in buying the dip, which is not the best sign. Doesn't mean 12 months down the road, Solana isn't a great investment. We don't have opinions like that. But we will say, from a swing trading perspective, be a little careful when you're seeing the second highest bullish spike over the last 3 months. And the last time we saw that was June 20th, and we tumbled right after that. So a little bit of worries for Solana and XRP for just the short term. And we mean no biases. If you have those coins in your portfolio, just understand that markets typically go the opposite direction of the crowd's expectations. And they're both seeing a ton of bullish sentiment across social media right now. We should also mention the whales, Maxim. So in terms of 10 to 10K BTC wallets that hold about 2/3 of the overall supply of Bitcoin, they took a slight drop. Let me make sure we get the last few days here. There we go. Yeah, they took a slight drop, but then they bounced back over the last 24 hours. I don't see anything too concerning here, even if we go back to the last year. So the last big drop they had was in February and March, and you saw how that really crushed prices, and then it started to reverse, and prices have kind of followed ever since. You know, they're down a little bit since mid-July, just barely.
But what I see on the chart, I don't know, it has to be probably it's a more proper data science tools, but every time they decrease their holding, it looks like they're reacting to the current event, but it has a little bit postponed price suppression weeks thereafter.
Right, which is great because we're looking for leading alpha indicators
And
rather than lagging.
if we had recent decline, if even on this scale of the chart, it doesn't look so big indeed. But if even so small decline impacts the market, we might see one more decline. Yeah? Just keep it as a warning. As I remember, network realized profit loss, at least when I checked it yesterday, was quite low. It means no one is concerned. Me including, actually. I'm not concerned about Bitcoin, so maybe it's dangerous. Now when I look into the data, we should be a bit concerned. Do you see network realized or age consumed moving of altcoins in the profits? Is it present?
Yeah, let's look at network realized profit loss. Big spike today, actually.
Today. So now they're reacting. Okay, that could be probably a good supporting sign for short term. Okay, because till yesterday evening there was almost nothing. It was too quiet. So the price had to move down to impress participants and to make them believe, okay, I need to do something. So it maybe it moved enough. Okay.
Yeah. So that's pretty significant. It looks like it's the third biggest spike since early June. And
yeah, quite big one, yeah.
Yeah. And then in terms of like mean dollar invested age, I'm still optimistic about this for the long term. I mean, look at all of this long-term money that's moving out of stagnant, dormant wallets. Doesn't mean we're in a bull cycle. I mean, if we see really steep drops, that's ideal with these token age consumed spikes. But if we go back and compare to like the last 4 years, so this is the kind of spike we're looking for or drop we're looking for.
Yeah.
This is pretty minor, all things considered, but It's still a pretty good sign that we're not, starting to get stagnant like we saw all through 2022 and the first half of 2023. So it could be worse. I would just love to see huge dormant wallets moving their investments out and that those coins going back into circulation and stimulating the entire network.
Stimulating or showcasing, demonstrating that they are concerned. Some of the old coins holders are concerned about the future, about the potential price increase. If we don't see these concerns anymore, which are visualized through spikes in net realized profit loss, they got too confident, they got too relaxed, and as we said in the beginning conversation, generally market punishes. It is rewarding patience and less of activity, but it also it can punish you if you don't trade or don't realize profits on time. Might be sounding contradicting what I said.
No, I follow.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think there's, a two-sided sword to any of these drops. Sometimes it could be related to whales selling. That's why I like to relate the mean dollar invested age to, what's going on here with 10 to 10K.
Yeah.
And if you see that everything looks okay, as it does right here, usually it's not a sign of major, profit taking going on.
And the smaller wallets, do you see them doing anything with Bitcoin?
Yeah, good question. So if we just look at 0 to 0.1 in terms of their percentage of holding, let me just isolate that. There we go. Make it something other than dark brown. I don't know why it does that. Yeah, they've kind of flattened out.
Not bad.
Not bad, not great. We'd ideally like to see them continue to drop. This was significant.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah.
But as long as they're not exponentially increasing on a falling price, it means they're not demonstrating by the deep behavior, at least not on Bitcoin, which is, it's not the worst scenario. The worst when they increase on the falling price. That's, you don't want to see it. But of course, the question remains now when crypto markets are quite open to most participants, it's not so restricted, regulated. In some countries still, but neither in Europe, no in America, no in many Asian countries, it's not restricted anymore. They might be going in some other markets, Ethereum, Solana. So they might be ignoring Bitcoin because it's boring, cannot bring you 2x very fast, and maybe some people even look for 10x. So that's why they buy crypto.com, but then a 10x with negative sign. And still, not having a massive increase of smaller hodlers, it's not bad. Just. So we might be return of the king.
In Return of the King, exactly. You can see the social dominance overall. Just the
how
piece
is
of
it now?
It's quite high, 33%. So about a third of all discussions related to top 100 coins are related to Bitcoin. And that's a lot higher than we were seeing back in mid 2024 when it was down at like 18 to 20%. So there's still quite a bit of focus on it. I think the platform tokens are taking a little bit of it away. This was when Ethereum was really going off, so that was taking away from Bitcoin. But the overall social volume share related to Bitcoin is still at a pretty big high point compared to the last couple of years. So RSI, from a technical analysis perspective, a little below 50. That's a good sign after this dip. Total amount of holders. So this is also kind of related to what Maksim and I looked at with the 0 to 0.1 wallets, because that's what the vast majority of this line is comprised of. It's going up pretty steadily now, close to 56 million non-empty wallets for the first time ever. It's kind of always making an all-time high or close to it. If it if it starts to go down though, that's a great sign that we're near a bottom, because retailers are usually selling and getting bored of Bitcoin here, and that's when we start to just rocket launch. So look for that. From a social trends perspective, let's look at some of the key stories here.
Oh yeah, Pete. Now it's official data oracle provider for American government. I think Bitcoin most likely pumped like there is no tomorrow. I didn't check it, but I would assume, yeah.
Yeah, it appears it is the number one story. It's also mentioning that Tron cut its network fees by 60%. Interesting that that's all part of the same story to go along with Chainlink and Pith. But yeah, Chainlink, I know there's a ton of hype around this because it's such a popular asset across social media. So that's the number one story. CFTC offshore trading is another, like Binance, Bybit, and OKX, clarifying rules allowing U.S. citizens to trade on offshore crypto exchanges. That's a big deal. Tether live Friday. Bitcoin pump boosts altcoins. That sounds like it's probably more related to yesterday. We have football news here in the U.S. as the fifth one. That was a shocker for sports fans. U.S. core PCE price index rose. Mutants arrival celebration. Yeah, I mean, the Litecoin treasury expansion here at number 10, that was a nice story. It highlighted a surge in crypto ETFs, major tokens like Solana, XRP, Litecoin, Hedera, Cardano, Avalanche, Polkadot, Sui, and Dogecoin are all targeting Q4 2025 for approvals. Note that this is the rumor part of the stage, not any sort of confirmation. So you can expect that assets like these might get some increased volatility as retailers show some increased interest. There might even be some institutional interest, but just be aware that it can often be a buy the rumor, sell the news situation, especially if some of these are not actually approved as people are hoping. So that's some of the trending stories. In terms of trending coins, may not be loading today. I'll give it a quick hard refresh. Something weird here with trending coins, Maxim. We should alert the team about that. Historical crypto trends does open. That's good. We're seeing a lot of talk about institutional Ethereum accumulation, declines on tariffs as we saw earlier. A little bit of a spike on Trump. Inflation talks starting to go down, but still somewhat high. ETFs, we just saw all that news, so ETFs are up. Alt season, a little bit of optimism there. I'm surprised by that because everything is declining at the moment. Even meme coins seeing a bit of an increase. Real world assets seeing a big increase. AI agents is continuing to decline rapidly, and SocialFi is kind of in the middle right now.
Yeah.
And then alpha narratives, an error. Let's try that again. There we go. Sometimes all you need is a quick hard refresh. So our alpha narratives was just refreshed, and we're seeing a lot of new spikes coming up just in real time today. Union build. Key topics currently being discussed include the upcoming snapshot for Union build, the strong community support for you, the potential impact of the snapshot on June 20th.
That's some kind of small event, but got good traction, good marketing.
And then we see crypto industry trends, kind of a generic topic, but seems to be related to saving time on ideas that may not have a real market, zero hedge becoming irrelevant, because zero hedge can be anti-crypto at times, and very pro-gold, which is interesting because they've been right on that. WLFI. I don't know much about this token. Have you followed up on this at all, Maxim? World Liberty.
Yes, it was Actually, it's connected with FI and Aave. They have a kind of interdeal. One invest another and get coins. I think they had a deal to deploy a fork version of Aave, and an exchange gave something. It was quite big story, yeah.
Yeah, and there's some Trump involvement with it too, so that's making headlines.
Yeah.
Confusion over Aave's governance deal with World Liberty and a crypto whale making a massive bet on the token. So that's in the news right now. And then we also see XRP's price surge, which I'm curious as to why, because we just saw XRP and its price. It is updated. Wait, maybe not. Make sure it's the live look. There's definitely not an XRP price surge, so I'm not sure what that's being talked. Maybe they're expecting a price surge and the dip buy interest is really high for it. I'm curious what happens if we just go with buy, buying, or bot and XRP, and we'll throw in the word Ripple just for good measure. Yeah, not much. It's interesting. I mean, there is some increased social dominance there at least. So that's something. But the overall alpha narratives showing XRP interest is interesting. Errors. Okay. We've got a couple
Unstable.
things. Yeah, we've got a couple things going on with social trends right now. The only other thing I wanted to show was the inflows and outflows related to ETFs. I'm curious what you think on this, Maxim, but I've been increasingly starting to look at this as almost a counter indicator, because you can see some of the highest spikes in inflows correlating with tops.
By itself, I think it's no news, but if it's picked up by media and published
Yes.
as a reason to believe why crypto will be doing good in the future based on the past events, usually they take last days or last week inflow. No? This is a typical projection. What you saw in the past, you project in the future, and the market just laughs and you say, okay, now we'll go other way around. And when they panically publish, outflow, 500 million, 1 billion, whatever, outflow from crypto, say, okay, that might be a bottom system. By the way, talking about it, and probably, Brian, I will need to leave today soon,
Sure.
before sunset, in our part of the world.
Yeah, it's late.
Sunset. We still need to keep in mind the latest tweets were still kind of have not processed, both from Kramer and from Eric Trump. He was so proud that he was so right with advising everyone to buy. I believe we need to remove some of confidence or encourage people to start publishing again. Hey, he did it again. He said buy and you should have sold. I can show you later on. I have a profile on Sanitizer with his. I think even Clement has a full profile. I have his most famous tweets. So there is some underlying to London tweet, TLDR, underlying bearish force in the market. Statements, and we haven't processed, in my opinion, yet expectations of big meteor figures all going to go high. And you saw it today in our internal chat, shared queue for outgoing from staked Ethereum. It's quite a big one, the highest record. So why people unstake? Well, they probably want to realize profits. Will the market allow it or not? I don't know. Typically, market is very harsh. But even if it allows, it will be quite a heavy sell pressure. That's quite high numbers. And no one talking about. This is the most important. I haven't seen anywhere yet mentions about how big is the queue to exit from staked Ethereum. Which if you think even in a simple term, actually it doesn't matter how you think, it's a bearish sign. It will be sell pressure, and okay, long term it might be, okay, mid term it might be not so bad, because if people on stake in order to want to sell, so they're concerned. Okay, good. I can understand that we can take it as the signs of worries or inconfidence, but it's a very long queue and very big numbers, so there will be some selling pressure, and market likes to run this. And combined, Trump, Kramer, long queue, and we haven't processed this crypto.com typical pump at the top, which we had in the past with meme coins or NFTs. Now we have crypto.com. We have to process this. Yeah? We have to get to another extreme with some bearish narrative. It should be prevailing and some rationalization. Why? Once we have it, okay, we can go back. I am not against the growing market. Actually, I'm all for it, but conditions have to be met.
Absolutely.
Before we end, maybe I will, if you allow me to leave.
No, I think we're all good here. We covered a lot today, Maxim, and I greatly appreciate all of your insights. Please enjoy your night over there. And for everyone watching, thanks so much for tuning into our later stream. I know most of you watch on replay anyways, but whoever came in live, we love the contributions you guys make. I'll make sure to address any comments that were over there.
There is a comment, a question. Is there a way to see it withdrawal queue? Actually, there is. It's just not very known. Maybe we should not forget to publish as a reply to video chat with this. Or we can use, there is other ways to look at too. We can ask Maksim Kachuk to publish here. Someone asked on the stream, so we can do it here.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining, and enjoy your weekend, Maxim. In the meantime, I'll talk to everybody soon, and stay tuned for more updates on our social media.
Yeah. Stay safe, everyone.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Okay, bye.